Hey, welcome back to the Koinonia podcast. I am here with Jessica Miller. She is a licensed clinical social worker, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, she works here, and she's also a TBRI practitioner. What does that mean?
Trust-based relational intervention is developed by TCU in Texas, and it's a program where really a whole child approach for how we interact with kids from trauma, or as they call it, for kids from hard places.
Yeah, if you haven't heard of Karen Purvis or TBRI or TCU, look it up. There's a lot of videos on their website. They talk, Karen Purvis actually did a ton of free videos that you can go online and watch them. She's amazing. We use primarily TBRI, Love and Logic, and what else do you think we use here?
I think that those are main go-tos, and EMDR when we heal children, when we're working with them in mental health capacity.
Yeah, EMDR, and that's a whole nother podcast right there. Mm-hmm. If you want healing from a very scientific, therapeutic perspective, I've done it. We offer it here at Koinonia in our mental health program, and it's amazing. It's life-changing, actually. And so I encourage you to look up EMDR, which stands for?
Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
That's it. And so it's an amazing thing. And so we have mental health clients here at Koinonia. We're offering post-adopt mental health services for Placer County. And we also offer therapy to some of our group home clients and different private situations. And so you've adopted.
Correct.
Right? Now what? What do you do, right? And so how much can you tell us about your story?
Well, I have 3 kiddos. My oldest 2 are from adoption. They're currently teenagers. We're going through the teenage fun years.
Oh, goodness.
But they came to us from 3 and 4 years of age, and different life experiences, different journeys for each of them, and really just solidifies my love for adoption and foster care and my love for helping kids from trauma and the importance of doing this right. We can't just go easy or be dismissive in the services and the types of care we provide for these kids. We need to do it well because these kids deserve it after going through so much difficulty. Yeah.
And so, you've been an adoptive parent for years. In fact, you adopted through us.
I'm a Koinonia family.
They're one of our original adoption families from the Loomis District Office here in Placer County, and then I hired her.
I'm stuck here
because you couldn't be an adoptive parent, foster parent with us and work for us, but after the adoption was over, we ended up talking later, and I said, "How come you don't work for us?" And you're like, "Well, you never." This is how I remember. You said, "Well, you never offered," and I said, "Well, let's have lunch." And then sure enough,
the rest is history.
Yeah. And so it's really interesting to hear your perspective. We obviously talk all the time. And we try to integrate some of the principles from TBRI. Mm-hmm. And when Jessica talks, a lot of times you go back to
felt safety.
So let's pause with that. And we're going to take a minute to try to better understand. It is a term from TBRI. Mm-hmm. And what does that really mean?
Well, and so many times when I'm talking to parents, they're like, we're doing all the right things. We're being consistent. We're providing nurturing. We're providing regular food and love and schedules. And my kids are still acting out. And there's so much safety that we structurally provide as parents and as caregivers. But it's a matter of whether the family or the kiddo is receiving that safety. Do they feel safe? When they've gone through so much trauma and so much difficulty, and when chaos feels normal feels unsafe. And so a lot of times we have to look at what we're doing as parents and whether that's actually helping the kid to feel safe. And the more the child feels safe, the more they can regulate, the more the healing can begin. We can look at educational activities. We can look at higher level thinking. We can look at trauma therapy. But until a child feels safe and is ready to let their guard down in order to start the healing processes in different aspects of their life, healing isn't really going to move forward quickly. It's going to be slow. So a lot of times when I'm talking to parents or I'm talking to staff, we're going back to that basic of what does the child need to feel safe. Mm-hmm. It's not a matter of what we've done, but what else, what does that child perceive as safety?
Yeah, because it's about the kid. Mm-hmm. what are they thinking? What are they feeling? And how do they perceive what you're doing? And so when it comes to each person having their own story, right? So this is in our theme of trauma-informed fostering and adopting, and how do we work with a kid? And so something like lecturing. Does lecturing make a child feel safe?
No.
I mean, the simple answer is no. And so we talk a lot about no lectures. What about threats?
No. That creates unsafety.
No threats. What about yelling? Think that helps?
No, doesn't help either.
No. What about standing really tall over a child and staring at them and pointing down at them?
I wouldn't like that myself.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a child would like that either, especially a child who's been abused and hurt and harmed.
Right. And so there's some parents, and I'm guilty myself, where sometimes I would get worked up. My children would do, they're adults at the time of this recording, and they still often do things, but I've learned a lot from the early years when I would get heated and frustrated, and I would express that frustration, turns to arguments. And in the previous lessons, we talked about the Love and Logic podcast that we did. We talked a lot about our one-liners and saying, I love you too much to argue, or using some sort of phrase to stop the argument, move beyond it, and then come back when you're calm.
Yeah.
And one of the phrases actually is, I'll talk to you when you're as calm as I am.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we're just heated, our brains are shutting down, no one's feeling safe, we're not getting anywhere, and that's when we make our worst decisions. As parents, we get into it.
And felt safety is looking for ways to de-escalate that heat. Yeah. So how do you bring them down to a cool level? So if there's a conflict going on, are you making sure that they've had a physical outlet? Are you making sure that they've had a chance to get their blood sugar back in check? Are they having a chance to breathe and regulate before we have difficult conversations? It's not saying don't have the difficult conversations, don't have those moments of correction, but are they in a place of feeling safe before you have those?
Right. A kid's brain is not open unless they're in a processing part of their brain. And so if they're in fight or flight, which is the back of the brain, or if they're frustrated and they're probably in the top part of their brain, they're not listening. And so all these amazing nuggets of wisdom you're giving your kids, when they're worked up, they're not hearing that. They're not learning from that. So what we talk about is regulate, right?
Empower,
relate,
connect, and correct.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she uses different. I say regulate, relate, and then reason. And you say
empower, connect, and correct. That's the TBRI's framework.
Right. But the point is we got to calm down first.
Correct. Not what I think is calm. What the child perceives as calm. How do they feel safe and calm?
But we both need to be.
Correct.
Right? Child needs to felt safety, meaning they're feeling safe so that they can start to connect.
And
right?
I need to feel felt
relate.
safety as the parent too.
Yeah.
If I'm not feeling safe as a parent because I'm dysregulated, we're both off the wrong start.
Right. And then koinonia, you got to have your koinonia, which is an intimate connection, a relationship. And then from the relationship, the child starts to feel trust. And I'm going to do a whole nother couple of videos about some of koinonia's principles. And we're going to talk about how to earn that respect and that trust and make that koinonia connection. And then when you have safety and connection, the child then becomes calm and open to maybe hearing what you're going to say. But again, you can't jump into lecture. You have to give them simple nuggets. And as we say, more is caught than taught. So you can teach them all you want, but they're going to probably learn the most through how you express yourself and relate to others and connect with others. They're watching your every move. Now, one of my biggest questions I'd like to ask you has to do with how long does it take, if you're using the best of these principles and teachings, how long does it take to see change in a child?
That's always the question people want to know. And I think parents are oftentimes impatient with the process. Change can come quickly, but you're looking for what is change. Are they behaving like a perfect child and always saying, yes, dear, yes, mommy? Or are they having little steps of growth? That's what we're looking for. That's what gives us hope for more. But if you're looking at a kid, even if you want to talk about a 2-year-old, if they've gone 2 years of abuse, does that get undone in 30 days? That's going to take longer. If you're talking about a teenage year of abuse, 13 years, 14 years, that's going to take a long time. It's a low and slow process that is also dependent on when the child's ready for their own healing, when they feel safe in all different aspects of their life.
Well, and there could be other things, sensory issues and things
Medical.
that you don't even know.
Yeah.
Medical issues and what do we mean by sensory issues? Whether it's texture, taste, feel, sound, their body could be on high alert and not feeling safe because of something they ate, because of an article of clothing that doesn't feel good to them and it's triggering them constantly.
A noisy kid.
Yeah. And so we put some of these kids with sensory issues into school, and sometimes the school setting, or maybe even at home, where the kid starts to feel unsafe because a dog came up to them too quick. And we didn't know that they had a traumatic experience with a dog. Right? And so we start to unfold those layers of the why.
Absolutely.
Find out the why they don't feel safe. Do everything in your power to make them feel safe. Start to connect. And then patience.
Absolutely.
So you adopted how many years ago?
10 now.
10.
11.
11 years.
Yeah.
11 years ago, she adopted. And her husband. He was part of it. And they're perfect now, right?
Oh, yeah. Totally. We're in the teenage years. It's all easy.
Just super easy.
I mean, teenage years are never easy, even with a full biological child who's gone through nothing difficult.
Good point.
So I would never expect things to be easy. Do I think it's interesting journey, and adoption is a journey. Trauma is a journey. There's never a end point. It's a constant unfolding of self-exploration about, understanding their stories, understanding their histories, understanding new trauma triggers that they may not have been aware of. It is definitely an onion, and you keep peeling it and you keep going through it.
Because you didn't get probably a lot of information when you adopted, and it was through foster care, to be clear. They adopted through the foster care system, and you get very little information. You get some of the history. They may have been in multiple homes before they came to you guys. I forget the exact story for you, but there's a lot that starts to unfold year after year, and some of it the child remembers and understands, and some of it they don't, but it still impacts their life and their feelings and their felt safety and everything, even the stuff they don't remember. And that's why we're so passionate about EMDR, because the EMDR can reprocess muscle memory and the memories your body has, not just the memories in your conscious. And so EMDR actually gets to the root of the cause. You just have to participate in the process. You don't have to understand the process. And the body, there's a whole book. If you really want to understand things, the body keeps the score.
Yeah.
I forget the author. Is it Vanderkork or?
Yeah, Vessel.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Look it up. You'll find it. Amazing book. Really dials in how the body, because your children were young when you adopted them, but their bodies remembered everything. And
they had gone through in utero plus early childhood years of trauma. That's a lot.
And so really what we're talking about today is helping a child feel safe, get that connection going so that they can start the healing process. And what we're trying to say is it's going to take time. And therapy, for those of you who are scared of therapy, just don't. We're in a time where there's no shame anymore. I've been to therapy. I think everybody I know has been to therapy. Maybe that's my world, but there is nothing wrong with, especially with EMDR, because it's just a scientific approach to basically relax the memories and the feelings connected to your memories. You don't lose memories. It's not hypnosis. It's just a way to help people resolve some of that trauma so that it's not impacting their life.
Takes the negativity away.
Yeah. You don't lose anything. There's no hypnosis. Nothing crazy going on here. And it's amazing. And so,
well, just as much as the kids, I think it's so important for the parents to be going through their own process of healing and counseling. We come into the adoption journey as parents with our own stories and our own history and our own responses to things. And then parenting trauma is a trauma. I want to honor that. That is really difficult to parent traumatized kids. And so I think just as much as we're expecting our kids to go get their healing done, we as parents need to expect ourselves to go get our own healing. and to work through the things that are driving our reactions as parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and each parent's different, right? If you're in a family set where there's two parents, one might have a trauma trigger that another parent doesn't. And so if you can tag team your kids at times, that's really good. But start with being calm and making sure that everybody feels safe. And keep asking yourself, am I parenting in such a way that the child feels safe? Or am I putting them on the defense right now with how I'm parenting, with how I'm talking? And I even use this with my staff. Am I making my staff feel safe so that they can trust enough to work out our issues even here at the adult level, right? It works at every level. So anyway, thank you, Jessica, for coming in.
Thank you.
She literally just walked in my office. I threw her in the chair and said, we're doing this.
Here we are.
And here we are. And so keep watching, subscribe. We'll see you at the next podcast.